Hello and welcome to the Section 5 Angular Forms, Template-Driven Forms. For the template-driven forms, we need to go to the module.ts first, the main applications module.ts, which is there. So then what we need to do, we need to import these things. Import from module from the Angular forms. Here we need to import that, and there in the imports area, imports decoration, we need to add the forms module right after the last imported element. After that, you need to know where you want to actually put the form validation. We want to put the form validation on the contact.component, the content component actually. So here, as you can see, the contact form, I've made the form here. I've actually used some bootstrap elements, the invalid feedback where name is required, and another invalid feedback, the email is required and or email is not correct, and the message bar can be empty. You can see that this is a very simple form. You just can create it using the bootstrap. So I have made it using the bootstrap and my own programming, my own CSS. We've already learned about that, but just for this thing, the invalid feedback, I've just added the bootstrap. So anyway, I'm just going to the component.ts file, and here we need to do a few things. First of all, we need to make a variable. Let's make it again. First of all, a variable, and I'm typing here module, again the model, and the type of the model I'm just making as the any, and it's actually going to be the object. So once again, I'm clarifying that the variable in a class is called a property anyway. So I need to go to the contact.component.html, and here I can see my content. Okay, I needed to do two things, the importing in the module and making the variable where I just want these things. Now I can use this block, the template area, and first of all I need to add the attribute #f equal to, you can put any name by here, I'm putting the ng form, okay, and put the attribute no validate. It will be true ultimately because we're not putting any value. So then the simple label, the input name, so here I'm adding the ng model. To add the ng model, we need to use this syntax, ng model equals to typing the name of this input field to get the data in Angular. So anyway, also because we are calling it in a variable, so the model, we're collecting in that variable as an object, so that's why I'm putting the module here. Okay, so now let's verify it. For verifying, we need to go down where we want to get the result. By now I'm just going right after the form, and here I'm using the interpolation, and here I'm calling the module and making it the JSON version of the module. And let's go to the browser to check if it's working fine. And there it is. So you can see that curly brace here because we are getting the result in a JSON. So here for the name, I'm typing here something like hello, and you can see that the name is hello. If I type Mark, I can see the mark on the same moment I type here, I get here. So it's working fine. So we can proceed to the next step. Now the further steps are a little bit tricky, but very simple meanwhile. So here I'm adding in a space, and what is the name? The name of this element is model.name. So I need to type #name equal to, and here the ng model. So anyway, now I need to create the logic. For the logic, I need to use the ng class. This should be inside the square brackets. Be careful with these spellings because these are case sensitive things. Now the logic is started, so be careful when I'm typing the logic because it is little tricky, as I said, not very hard but tricky, so you need to understand what I'm doing. First of all, I'm asking if is invalid, it's a class I'm adding. In this condition, let's submit it. I'm talking about the, this F is actually the form I've added here. The hash and F I've added here. You can see that the F. So here I'm telling that the form should be submitted. Or the otherwise here, the end sign, name dot invalid. Save it. So let's click here to verify if it's working or no. Okay, so here you can see that the name is required. That means it's working. Now, if we go further to design it, you can see that there are two things. Email area, there is an invalid feedback. Email is required and the email is not correct. So invalid feedback and invalid feedback. There are two invalid feedbacks here. If you remember, we've learned the ngIf. So now we are going to apply that here. First of all, we need the same logic we did previously. So I can simply copy that, the whole logic, and I can paste that there. Okay, let me copy and let me go down and I'm going to paste that here. With a few changes, we need to make them. Here, this is model dot not name but the email, and then email ng model, then ng class, and here it should be the email invalid. Save it. Okay, that's a simple logic. We already know about them. But here we're going to use the ngIf between these two values. We've already did that how we can manage the showing of a single result by using the ngIf. So first of all, we need to go here to the first one and add the star asterisk sign in ngIf space email dot errors dot required. That is a required error we've assigned here. Let's add the double quotes too. Okay, now here we simply need to add the ngIf email dot errors dot email equal sign. Okay, it's also designed by now. So you can notice how simple it is maintain the form validation using the template driven way of the Angular.